All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Oh, thank you all. My goodness. I'm humbled. Look, that's a preview of the kind of applause you're going to hear tonight at the State of the Union.
What?
That is one of the longest nights. I don't care who is president. They come on, you know, and the president with his normal setting of a table that is completely imaginary. And then every 5 words or so, people rise to their feet and they have applause. I can applaud louder than you can applaud. I can cheer louder than you can cheer. Let me show you how I'm more loyal to the dear leader than you are. I can have a more beaming smile than you have. That is what you're going to find tonight. I mean, as I say, it's interminable regardless of who's president. But with this guy, it's like everybody's trying to show the supreme leader that they are on board. And so it's going to be it's going to feel like a longer night. Plus, you've got just you've got a guy in Donald Trump who drinks in that applause. He'll milk those applause lines, you know. He lives for the stage. I will inform you, Kim, who has just returned from her trip at Disneyland with her son, who's just turned 12, as I understand it. The chat now is involved in predicting what time the show will start. And there is I believe, kind of a wagering subculture involved in what time the show will start. Not sure. But I'm hoping that there's a wagering subculture, and I'm also hoping that you'll extend that subculture and those predictions and that prediction market to what time the show will end.
What?
Yeah, why not? So, there you have it. Now you're up to speed, Kim. Aside from that, nothing else really happened. Tony and I really handled things pretty seamlessly.
Thanks, Tony.
Yesterday. We did note a few things that I will follow up on. Kash Patel is one of them. I've got big Epstein news this morning that I will share with you. David Cay Johnston joins us in hour 2. Mo Kelly joins us at the bottom of this hour. And a quick update on what's happening in the Northeast. Tony has the bare facts of what's happening in the northeastern part of the USA. It is it's a storm for the ages.
Blizzard of 2026, man, lived up to the hype, right? More than 600,000 customers lost power as 40 million people across 8 states were under blizzard warnings. In fact, New York City saw its first blizzard warning since March of 2017. And while some folks in Central Park enjoyed some fresh powder, many across the East had some mixed feelings about the snowstorm.
Just going to be another day of trying to clean up a lot more snow and running out of spaces to put it.
We'll take it because it's coming no matter what we say, but I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm ready for spring.
I hate the winter so much. It's just so cold. I'm just so ready for the summer and the spring.
I don't mind the actual storm itself. I just don't like it when it's lying around in the streets for weeks after. Hopefully it'll melt much quicker than this.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
As long as we have a roof over our head and the heat works and we have food, that's all we need.
Wow. Yeah.
That's all you need. And a little bit of...
Yeah, that sounds... Mark sounds low volume to Kim. I'm getting the word. Do you see anything like that, Tony, as you watch the various meters that you monitor? Tony is our guy on technical stuff. No? Yes? Kim is feeling as though my volume is low. And my volume is the most important volume.
What?
Yes. No?
Everything looks normal on here.
Okay.
I mean, I could bump you up here a little bit, but...
I don't know. And she's mentioning it. She's coming back to the show, and she's already causing problems. Peacefully Resist is the mug that I drink the Coachella Valley coffee from, and it is pretty special. You'll forgive me for... By the way, the Peacefully Resist mug has our logo tastefully emblazoned on the back, and you can get it at getmarkmerch.com along with other merch stuff. I think there's a little kind of new merch release coming, so it's something to keep an eye on. But there is the black mug, white mug, born to peacefully protest, born to peacefully resist. I'm wearing the shirt today, proudly with my sunshine. I think this is one of the shirts that Kim likes the most. Born to peacefully resist, is it? Yes. Very good. You can get one too, getmarkmerch.com. And it has the logo of the show on the back. Tastefully, again, we don't like to be in your face with it. Very tastefully placed on the rear of the shirt. Yes.
I was going to say, look at that price. After looking at the prices at shirts at Disneyland, that looks like a bargain of the century.
I'll bet everything at Disneyland. How much is it to get into Disneyland?
Well, they have a California deal now across the state, not only for Southern California. So supposedly it's half, but for a 3-day pass, that's like $250, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They do like a flex pricing.
Let me just understand, $250 per person?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thompson, party of 4.
No.
Add the numbers, Mark. That's why we don't go very often. But I'm happy to report.
I do not see the Thompson family there at all.
Yeah.
I'm happy to report that at a time when it seems like the world is falling apart, Disneyland is still exactly the same as you left it last time.
I would, in my family, this is why I don't have children, I'd say, kids, here's a story. It's expensive. We're going to decide one family member gets to go every year. So you guys can decide, like one of you, if you, little Susie, if you want to go this year, if you can get little Benny to agree, those would be my kids' names, Susie and Benny.
Susie and Benny?
Yeah. Benny really wants to go this year, Susie. And Susie would be, of course, the more mature, smart one because she's the girl.
Yeah.
And she would probably let Benny go first. But they're only going, again, I'm not going to take both of you there. We don't have that kind of money every year to take everybody.
Here's the thing about Susie and Benny. They get too old to do this with, and all of a sudden, your Disneyland days are done.
You know what? That sounds great. I can't wait. I can't wait till my Disneyland days are done. Here is 104. This is a standard theme park ticket.
Yeah.
Well, explain this to me, Tony. You're saying
they have flex pricing, so it depends if you want to go on a weekend. $224. Do you want to go on a Wednesday? There's 2 different Wednesdays a year that it's $100.
Oh, I see. Well, my kid Benny, he's a Wednesday kid. He's not a weekend kid. Yeah. So that's the deal on that. All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It is the State of the Union tonight, and I will talk to David Cay Johnston about that. I'll also mention it with Mo Kelly. I had a little fact that you may or may not be aware of regarding the drug kingpin who's been at the center of all of this unrest in Mexico, which is a polite way to put it. I mean, it's as you know, the cartel that El Mencho is part of is a massive cartel, the huge drug cartel in all of Mexico. And there are several, I understand, but this is like the top one. And the reason that's important is it's bored into the community in ways that affect everything, right? So what's happened now in Mexico with the unrest, with the mayhem, with the arson, this is all in reaction to the cartel leader known as El Mencho, who was taken out. But here's the thing just a weird fact. Before he had a $15 million bounty on his head as the leader of this ruthless Jalisco New Generation cartel, he was a kid who was arrested as a small-time hood, to use the old expression, and booked on meth charges in 1986 in what city in America? In 1986, the drug kingpin who has just been killed and has created all of the madness in Mexico, he was arrested on the streets of this city as a small-time meth dealer. Anybody know? Miami is one of the guesses. San Francisco is one of the guesses. Chicago comes in as a guess. Florida, one of the guesses. This kingpin, El Mencho. San Jose, says Amy. San Francisco. Houston. Compton. The answer is, after crossing the border illegally sometime before he turned 20 and making the journey north, he was picked up first on meth charges May 14th, 1986 in San Francisco. Is exactly right. Yeah. He was arrested twice more, finally for selling $9,500 worth of heroin to two undercover officers at a bar in 1992. He went to prison, got deported, and despite his record, became a local police officer back in Mexico.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, his story is pretty incredible. And then, of course, he became this kingpin named El Mencho. And now shockwaves of violence follow his killing across huge parts of Mexico where they hold sway, right?
What does El Mencho mean?
What does El Mencho mean, Tony? Tony will look it up, I think, for us, won't you, Tony? It feels like that would be something that you could do, Tony, very easily. Yeah.
Google it.
Yeah, exactly. El Mencho is, I can't really see this now, a nickname derived from Nemesio, the first name of the late drug lord Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Sometimes you're sorry you asked, am I right? No literal translation. The term Mencho does not have a direct translation or specific definition in English beyond being an alias. So, would be cool if it meant something, but it doesn't really. Anyway, the unrest in Mexico, and again, to be polite about it, it's really mayhem. It continues, and we will watch it for you here as we continue. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
yeah, the story, and there are a lot of stories that are breaking, but the story out of Washington is tonight's State of the Union, and I'll talk with both Mo and David Cay Johnston about the State of the Union, because the State of the Union is always spun as a generally positive thing, right? You've got the ultimate hype man doing it this year, and Trump is going to tell you how great things are, how crappy things were when he got here. Oh my God, this place was just a smoldering mess when I got here. And I've turned everything around, and you're not going to believe it because it's going to get even better for you. The reason that is a tougher pitch, of course, is reality. His plan, included with the big, beautiful bill, which he got through, was supposed to kind of bring an instant luxury to your lifestyle in America. I mean, that's the thing about the con that was Donald Trump. The effectiveness of the con, part of it, was associated with how everything's going to be solved in an hour. I'm not even going to need to be sworn in before I stop the hostilities in Ukraine and Russia, right?
Isn't today the fourth, we were mark 4 years of the war in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia?
Exactly right. Exactly right. And then finally, after getting both leaders on the line separately, he admitted it just seems as though it's going to be a little tougher. But everything else, he still said, the inflation that was plaguing the nation under Joe Biden. Now, the reality was there were huge problems with inflation under Joe Biden, particularly during COVID. Some of that had been tamped down. I'd suggest, generally speaking, and I've made this point before, he had the best economy in the world when he came into office, Donald Trump. And immediately he went for tariffs, and the tariffs are something that doesn't poll in any kind of popular way. So the idea somehow that the Supreme Court, and there's the CPI, Consumer Price Index, as Tony has posted there, and that's the Consumer Price Index from 2020 and now over year to 2023. So Again, this is from Bureau of Labor Statistics. So again, I don't know to what degree you'll see a representation of what's really going on. I'd say this in relation to those polls, in relation to even those graphs. Americans really have a feeling about how the economy is. The feeling is based on the economy that they live. So even under Joe Biden, the end of his administration, you had a feeling that it was just too expensive. Everything was just too expensive. It was a feeling we had, right? The idea somehow that Wall Street was doing well, the economy was surging. As I say, compared to the rest of the developed world coming out of COVID, we were doing better. That is a tough sell to a populace that is feeling as though the economy for them is not where they want it to be. I can't own a house. I can't own a car. I mean, these are things that are getting farther and farther out of reach. I need to work 2 jobs to put my kids into school. Healthcare is crippling me. These are all things endemic, I'd suggest, on some level to American life. I don't know if you saw just this past weekend, I was reading an article about the average cost of an automobile. It's crazy. I mean, you can't buy an automobile for less than $20,000 anymore. It's hard to find an automobile for less than $30,000. Again, it may have something to do with the nature of the sophisticated electronics in an automobile. I mean, we'll do the story maybe tomorrow. I was blown away by it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is he'll have to fight that feeling on the part of Americans. Now, he'll be helped enormously, Donald Trump will tonight, by the Amen Corner, which he is going to be preaching to, right? Everybody up on their feet, applauding his every third word. He's so great, right on, immigrants out, border never safer. But the immigration thing, which he had pivoted to quite quickly on the campaign trail, right? It was inflation. He beat that drum, and I thought he beat it effectively, right? With all these promises. Everything's going to become more affordable. Gas will become more affordable. Eggs will become more affordable. Everything's going to become more affordable. Your life's going to be better. Right away, he then pivoted to immigration. The problem is those people are coming in here. They're taking your jobs. They're taking your benefits. They're voting. A lot of these things just aren't true. But it was true that we had a porous southern border, and it is true that he sealed it. After that, you can get off the Trump immigration train because all the other stops are really ugly. He brought ICE agents onto the streets, thugs, who would beat the crap out of everybody they ran into without regard for who the people were, executing 2 American citizens on the streets of Minneapolis. And more to the point, these things aren't popular. So when you look at the economy and you look at immigration, those things that might have vaulted him into office, again, on the con that I'm going to solve these issues, they're not popular. I haven't even mentioned that all of these things are happening as he begins stirring for war. Venezuela, the Caribbean flex, taking out drug boats that, again, I'm guessing most Americans don't really care about. They should, but they don't. But now Iran is on the radar. There was already one bombing in Iran to take out their nuclear program, but apparently, even though he said the nuclear program has completely been decimated, apparently it's not, because now you're demanding that they give up their nuclear program. Otherwise, you're going to attack them with all the warships you have positioned to make the military strike. So, again, these are things that are at odds with each other. And finally, and I mention this because Americans don't want to go to war. They just don't. And Iran is a real problem for him, as you heard his general now, it's been leaked, saying, you don't want to mess with Iran. Because, as we've noted on this show, the Iran situation is far stickier than, let's say, Venezuela, et cetera. And just on that note, he went into Venezuela, he replaced the leadership there, right? But he kept everything else, the structure of rule in Venezuela the same. He's not talking about doing that in Iran. At least as been publicly articulated, he's talking about changing the leadership in Iran and changing the structure of leadership in Iran. He wants a complete regime change there, and that will have huge effects on the country. I mean, that is going to be a period of tremendous upheaval, and he'll have to own that on some level. Not to mention getting in and out of Iran, tactical strike, it could be very tricky. And lastly, all of this happens against the backdrop of corruption. As Donald Trump's administration seems committed to self-enrichment, to taking off all of the regulations when it came to crypto, when his World Liberty platform that he owns with his kids becomes the platform on which crypto and meme coins are traded, when billions of dollars literally in meme coins purchased by the UAE, et cetera, help enrich Trump and his family. And that's only the beginning. When he demolishes the East Wing, as he starts his big, beautiful ballroom that was 200 million, then it was 250, then it was 300, then it was 350, now it's 400 million. I mean, it's clearly a grift.
You're so negative, Mark. It's almost like you're saying Trump's just president to enrich himself.
I'm not even done, but fortunately I will wrap up now because Mo is standing by. But before I completely wrap this up, Tony, you have that against this horrible. He's doing horribly in the polls. He's really at the lowest ebb that he was in his first term. Now here in the second term. Play a little bit of how NBC handled it this weekend on Meet the Press. Go ahead.
This speech, as I was just discussing with Monica and Julia. So what do you think the president needs to do, given the fact that his approval rating, 47% of voters say they disapprove of his handling of the economy, that it's gotten worse since he took office in 2025. What's the reality check there?
Well, the president is really keen on superlatives about the economy. It is red hot. It was ice cold last year, that it is the best economy in the world, that he has brought it back from the brink of extinction under Joe Biden. But when you look, honestly, when you look at the numbers, you can see this economy has a lot of new elements, but it is not really that different from last year. Look at GDP. It was actually stronger under the last year of the Biden administration. Job growth this year, last year, only 181,000 net new jobs. Look at the job growth difference as the president does mass deportations and tariffs and just so many different things in the economy that are his trademark. The deficit has improved slightly, but the goods deficit in the U.S. is still a record in 2025. Inflation has improved a little bit, but pretty much the same. And he talks about all these records in the stock market. The last year of the Biden administration, the stock market returned better than the first year of the Trump administration. He's very good at...
Yeah, he's very good at branding, which is exactly right. He'll spin it, and you'll hear a lot about the Dow, and you'll hear a lot about how great things are. He's a con man, so there's no BS artist like Donald Trump. He is top of the heap. But when you really look at what's happening, you see a much starker picture of reality. And the other thing I would say just about tariffs, because he likes to, and she mentioned it in that report or in those comments, he likes to talk about tariffs. Tariffs don't poll well either. And the Supreme Court, as I said, did him a favor when they said, you can't do this. But instead of accepting the favor, he ran over in this petulant way to impose 10% and then 15% tariffs. And again, he has a death grip on these tariffs that are not popular with the American people. They're tired of paying more for stuff, and they get the memo that tariffs are forcing higher prices on them. So again, you won't hear any of this. You'll only hear, blue skies and sunshine when Donald Trump is speaking. And of course, that's between his crowd standing on their feet and applauding. Those who won't be on their feet are probably those who are Epstein victims of the Epstein international human trafficking ring. I think there'll be 7 of them, maybe a dozen of them in the crowd. You saw I don't know what the final number is of those who will be there. But they'll be there as well. And we'll talk more about the omissions and redactions and deletions in the Epstein files as we continue today. So all of that going on. That's
the Mark Thompson Show.
Smash the like button for me if you would. It costs you nothing. I know. It's exciting. I mean, I appreciate the applause because it just buoys my mood.
Smash
but
it
if you
with your
smash
iron rod.
yes, that is the kind of support we could use, and it costs you nothing. What's the over-under on Biden mentions tonight? Yeah, he'll mention, of course, as I was saying, that he's gotten this smoldering heap from Biden, that he's turned into this wondrous gilded life that we all live in America. And we're only halfway there. That's a good question, though. What's the actual over-under? We should, maybe for the next State of the Union, actually build our own a table of wager. Tonight's drinking game, take a drink of your martini or kamikaze every time he mentions Biden. A lot of people really feel, thank you, Harry. A lot of people feel that he's going to be Biden-centric.
Big shout out.
Yeah. Velma. Let me make this bigger so I can read these. I can't remember. If we take a drink every time Trump says the Dow or illegal aliens, we'll all be drunk by the end of his speech.
Big shout out.
I do agree. Thank you, Vilma.
The Dow is ridiculous.
The Dow is clearly where he likes talking about that. He likes all his people talking about the Dow. I mean, it's not just him.
The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy.
Yeah. Mensch means a humble or charitable or do-gooder person in Yiddish, says Mike Mann. Well, he's not. He's talking about the Mexican drug lord. He's not.
Big shout out.
Big shout out, Mike. I don't think he's called a mensch. I think he's called. What is he called again?
El Mencho.
Oh, El Mencho. Maybe he is El Mencho. I don't know. Yes, that's the other part of the story, that he is. He's actually a mensch.
What?
I'm going to get ahead of all of this and nominate the State of the Union for an Emmy. This will please the king, says Wes in Florida. Yeah, I mean, he definitely wants to. He'll have a big audience. A lot of people get frustrated by the State of the Union, though. Again, not just even related to Trump. I mean, it's a. The president speaks. There are applause lines all the time. It's just a very propaganda-filled. I promise you that. Most of what he talks about will be complete fiction. I wonder if he'll say anything nasty to the SCOTUS members that voted against his tariffs when sitting there right in front, says John Watson. Yeah, that's another thing. I think I don't know. There are a lot of these institutions in Washington and traditions in Washington, customs in Washington that could probably be revised. One of them is having these Supreme Court justices sit there. I mean, for them, it's just, and they're not allowed to applaud anything. And, I mean, they're allowed to, but it's just a bad look. All right. Can I quickly get to my darling Mo Kelly? All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
You know this guy, the clearest takes in the entire universe. Love talking to him. Love it when he comes in and visits, generally on Fridays, or fills in when we need him. He's just so terrific. The wonderful Mo Kelly. And Mo, welcome, sir. Welcome. I want to get to something that happened to you in a moment. But just because I have you and we were talking about the State of the Union, give me a quick take on two things. A, is this important because it dominates a news cycle? And B, how should we digest it? I mean, it feels as though it's a big chunk of propaganda, regardless of who is delivering it, and particularly tonight.
It is a political pep rally. It's supposed to make you feel good about the president and the presiding party. That's the political aspect, but there is some substance that you can glean from it. In every State of the Union speech, and we won't remember it 2 weeks from now, but in every SOTU speech, you'll get some sense of the priorities or the goals, the near-term goals for any presidency. I'm watching to see what he says about Iran. I'm watching to see what he says specifically about our international attention. Whether even Ukraine is mentioned at this point. I want to know what the Trump doctrine is in that regard. Yes, he's going to speak about the economy. Yes, he's going to lie about the state of the economy, but I care less about that because that is not going to impact me as much as what may happen in the Middle East with Iran, and that has more of I can connect those dots to you and to me and people we know and love more so than whatever he wants to say about the economy.
Yeah, just because you mentioned Iran, I was saying before that the Venezuela flex, troubling. The fact that it was preceded by, taking out all of these boats. They just took out another boat of, it might be fishermen, it might be drug runners, probably a mix of both. I mean, they've killed a lot of people, and and then they released the videos, which are essentially snuff films of them taking out these boats. And I was saying before that I think the average person it doesn't land on their radar in their lives. And you made me think of it just a second ago when you talk about this. But the Iran move will, yeah?
Yeah, I think so, because if anything, we're all old enough to remember what happened with Iraq, with Afghanistan. And if you're old enough as you and I are, Mark, no disrespect, we remember what happens with regime change. In other words, the Shah of Iran, how that ended up with the Iranian hostage crisis. We know that there are repercussions and there are consequences to regime change. We know of our very complicated history with Iran. And if we make the same mistakes, and yes, they are mistakes, the same mistakes as we did in decades before, then we are opening up the door for more terrorism, more type of issues in which we may be tied up in the Middle East for the unforeseeable future. Not just a singular bombing of a nuclear facility and declaring mission accomplished and we've obliterated their capacity. We could have a lasting involvement for a generation, as we did with Afghanistan.
Yeah, this is a critical distinction. I was making the point before that, in Venezuela, even with that big move, I mean, to go in, to depose leadership, to arrest them and bring them back here, it was still not a total regime change. I understand that it was the regime of that president that perhaps you are getting rid of, but everybody else was left in place. All of his functionaries, all of the structural aspects of governance in Venezuela was left in place. This is very different. He's looking at eliminating essentially the mullah rule that has informed, the Ayatollah rule that has informed Iranian life for decades now, and he's actually looking at reinstalling the Shah's son, who, again, the Shah was brought in as our first installation after Mossadegh, who had preceded the Shah, had been democratically elected. And America moved in, we put in the Shah. Shah was a brutal leader, I mean, a horrible secret police, all the nastiness of you could possibly imagine, brutality you could possibly imagine. And then it led to the Iranian Revolution. Now we're, again, skipping ahead of the movie to perhaps the Shah's son returning. So all of that is to say, you're right. This could be a quicksand of its own, and you just don't get in and out the way you did in Venezuela.
And there's also the consideration it destabilizes the region. When you depose leadership in the Middle East, it signals either an opportunity to some nations or concern for some nations, such as Israel, as far as what are going to be the consequences for those. In other words, Iran can't necessarily reach out and reach us militarily through the conventional means, but they could reach Israel. They could reach Iraq. They could reach any number of European countries, and that has to be a consideration as well.
Well, we have a bunch of military bases there, too. I mean, they can reach Americans there in all those military bases in the Middle East. I want to pivot to something bizarre that happened to you. And in a way, we could be looking at the future or the present in terms of the way social media companies, privately owned, right, in a sense, end up making decisions that are designed to curry favor with leadership, political leadership. Tell everybody what you'd written about this, and that's why I asked you to come on and talk about it. Tell me about what happened.
Like maybe Kim put the link in the chat of my op-ed. That would be helpful because it's a long story to tell, and I don't have that much time to tell it, but let me say it like this. I've never liked social media. I've begrudgingly used it because I thought it was, one, fake, unnecessary, and also it was an interruption in my normal lifestyle. It doesn't celebrate the things that I do, but it's essential for what I do professionally. So I left Twitter when it turned into X and some 18,000 followers that I had because of the ongoing racism and abuse that I was dealing with on a daily basis. And I just limited to just Instagram, Threads. I wasn't really much on TikTok, and I had my Facebook presence in a business sense, and I had a blue certified check mark, not as a boast, but it's important to the story. Back on February 12th, I lost access to my Instagram and Threads account because according to Meta, it said, we disabled your account. You no longer have access to @Mr. Mo Kelly. Your account or activity on it doesn't follow our community standards on child sexual exploitation, abuse, and nudity. And it went further and said examples of things we don't allow: showing a child's genitals, showing sexual activity involving children, sexualizing children. We're required by law to report suspected cases of child sexual exploitation to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Let me just stop right there. There's never been anything related to child pornography, and I say it with a laugh because it's absurd, connected to my Threads or Instagram. But Meta seems to think that there was something posted. Since the account was disabled and deleted, and it also says that you cannot request another review of this decision, there's no way for me to even log into the account to find out if there was a nefarious login or if this was something on Instagram or Threads or both, because both were disabled. And there's no way I can find out what was the supposed offensive post. When you combine that with the legal threat where they were reporting me to a national agency regarding child endangerment, that could follow me for the rest of my life. I say follow me because I've talked here about how I teach martial arts, working with children. I've talked here how I officiate youth basketball, working with children. Well, I'm live scan. And if you don't know about live scan, that means your digital fingerprint is taken and put in all the federal databases. So if I were to go to jail, or if I were to try to get a car, or if I were to try to do anything, I'm run through those databases. And if I'm flagged in some way, long story short, this could have all sorts of unintended consequences. And if you read my editorial, I talk about how, yes, we all know about terms of service, and we all know that these are private platforms. They can be taken away at any time, whether we agree with it or not. There are other considerations to be made as I lay out as far as not only the political climate in which we live, as far as what's happening with people in broadcast media, Jimmy Kimmel, or maybe Stephen Colbert, but also in social media as well, given Mark Zuckerberg's influence and Elon Musk and others. All these things are connected, and we have to go in eyes wide open when we have these social media accounts.
Doesn't seem as though there is any real kind of hearing that is offered us to adjudicate this in anything that would even approach a kind of fair process.
No, and I don't mind big picture whether you want to take these platforms away, because I never was emotionally attached to them in that way, and I had a begrudging relationship with it. But when I may have to deal with this long term, and I have no way to defend myself or at least prove that I was not involved in anything such alleged connected to child pornography, which is no laughing matter, that concerns me greatly, because it's not something that I can fight. It's not something I can appeal, and it's not something that I can foresee if I should have to deal with it down the road. And that's assuming that I know. You know, social media is used for job inclusion and job exclusion. Don't think if you're going for a new job, they're not checking your social media. Don't think if you're not going for a federal job that you're not also checked for social media and any types of flags. Is there a file with my name on it with the FBI or somewhere in the DOJ? I don't know, but this doesn't help. And this should not be diminished or pushed aside and think like, well, it's just Instagram. It's no big deal. No, it is a big deal.
No, it's a very big deal, I think. And someone said it sounds like, Agolf says, sounds like an AI response, but that's the point. You don't know whether it's an AI response. You don't know if it was a screw up. You don't know if it was an intentional act because of something political. There's just no way to know anything. It might have literally just been a mistake.
It could have been a combination of things. It could have been AI. It could have been a mistake, and the AI could have been calibrated to to more harshly punish certain people on the political spectrum. I can't rule anything in, and I say in the op-ed, I can't necessarily rule it out. We see what is happening to journalists all around the world across social media in being subjected to various forms of punishment, from shadow banning to outright banning to arrest, if you want to include Don Lemon. So we have to look at these things with a jaundiced eye and not disregard the moment that we're in. I don't think that I'm all that special, but because I don't think I'm all that special, I cannot overlook the possibility of how easy it would be to squelch my voice if that was the goal of someone.
Sure. It's deeply disturbing. It's deeply disturbing because essentially, leaving your case out, I think dissent is increasingly going to be punished, and it'll be punished in ways that will include social media accounts being deleted or altered. So we'll have a link to Mo's op-ed describing all of this, and you'll be able to read more and be in touch with Mo that way. We'll see you Friday here, but I think this is deeply concerning, so I'm glad you came by today. Thank you.
Thank you. And I wonder, I doubt that I'm the only one. So I'm quite sure there are other people who have similar stories. So it's not just about me, it's about everyone else as well.
When they go to your op-ed, there's a way to contact you, or do you have is it social media you have to contact you?
It literally says at the bottom of the op-ed, good luck trying to find me on social media, but you can find me at Mr. Mo Kelly on Facebook. That portion of Meta has not banned me as of yet. So you'll be able to find me there.
And you can always reach Mo through our show, forward on anything, themarkthompsonshow@gmail.com. Thanks, Mo Kelly. We love you. We'll see you on Friday. Mo Kelly, everybody.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I mean, isn't that story just disturbing? I mean, I think, again, the weaponization of social media and the way in which dissent will be punished in this country, it's really scary. We talked about the State of the Union. I'll talk about it with David Cay Johnston in a second. I want to tell you there's a big story that's emerged out of the Epstein files and a deletion in the Epstein files. And I'm going to get to that in a second, too. But, give me a second to just sip on my Coachella Valley coffee, if you would, please. It's the best coffee on earth.
Put that coffee down.
All organic and ethically sourced from women-owned farms. It is curated coffee, tea, spices in a way they take tremendous pride in. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. When you check out, use our discount code MARKT, and you will get 10% off. It is the support of our partner, Coachella Valley Coffee, that was so strong that it led to the people at Sweet 106 Bakery hearing about it. And the people at Sweet 106 Bakery, they reached out and they said, is there any way that our business could be a fit for your show? And we thought about it, and we road tested their product, the Sweet 106 Bakery, and I sent the Sweet 106 Bakery stuff to Kim, and I sent the Sweet 106 Bakery to Albert, and I sent the Sweet 106 Bakery to Tim, to Tony. And it's so delicious, and their story is so real. This is not a big company. It's a small business. Small batches are baked to order, and they get it out to you. And she is the 2-time winner of Cupcake Wars. So
good.
It's, yeah, I mean, Christy's amazing, and you've met her here before, and you'll meet her here again. But for now, the layered cupcake cakes they come in those canisters. They are a religious experience. You must try them. I want you to use our discount code, though, so you get 15% off. And that Snickers, which is spelled with a Z, is just, again, I think Tony was talking about how, Tony and Albert both were talking about those. Right. Wasn't that right, Tony? I remember you.
I had the strawberry one. That strawberry one was so
that's
good.
right. You had the strawberry.
I'm the Snickers one.
You're the Snickers, and so is Albert.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how good that is. It's just like I woke up still thinking about it. It's
and
so
I'm
good.
the red velvet. I just, so you'll pick out your favorite. You'll love it. It's Sweet 106 Bakery. For those just listening, it's sweet, spelled like a suite of rooms, SUITE. Sweet there it is, the Southern Red Velvet. Oh, my God.
So good.
It's a showstopper. sweet106bakery.com. Use our discount code MARKT. Support our partners. She is a wonderful success story, and you will be happy. Sweet106bakery.com.
Oh, good.
MARKT at checkout for 15% off. Sweet106bakery.com.
The Mark Thompson Show.
A pretty high-profile deletion in the Epstein file release. It's astounding. This is a report that just broke from NPR. And here is a bit of what's going on. These deletions involve, and this may come as no surprise to you on one level, but it's shocking on another level. These deletions, now these are not just redactions, these are deletions. They involve the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and an underaged girl. And you'll hear it's not just the sex act, it's was an allegation of physical abuse. Go ahead, Tony.
And based on those indices, as well as documents available in the file, MS Now can report that there is at least one witness for whom 3 interviews with the FBI in rapid succession in 2019 are missing. And you might say, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, the big deal about that is that we can also confirm that that woman is the same person who in a 2025 FBI presentation is identified to have accused Donald Trump of a sexual assault when she was between 13 and 15 years old. We know that based on a human source who has confirmed to us that this woman is one and the same. So I want to make this very clear. There is a woman who, according to the FBI and documents compiled last summer, accused Donald Trump of sexually assaulting and physically abusing her. One of the things in her accusation is that in addition to forcing her to perform oral sex, he also hit her in that same episode. We have now connected that woman to someone who was interviewed by the FBI 4 times in 2019. Of those 4 interview memoranda, which are listed in this index that I'm holding up right here, only one of them can be seen. And in that interview, the accusations against Trump are not present. At the most, she says that she had met Trump on one occasion without detailing it. And when asked how she understood that Epstein was a person who committed abuse against her, she showed FBI agents a picture that she had been sent by a friend. It was a picture that she was reluctant to share with FBI agents because there was somebody else in the photograph. It turned out to be, according to this interview memo, a well-known photograph of Epstein and Trump together. She said that she was reluctant to show them the full image, lest she incriminate someone that she feared could retaliate against her. That's all that we know from what's publicly available in the files. But we know that this woman had other accusations against Trump. Where they are listed or where they've been memorialized, we're not sure. But we can tell you and our viewers that there are 3 other interview memoranda taken by the FBI that are not present anywhere in the Epstein files. And this is a problem that we expect may have recurred with dozens of other witnesses whose files may not have been produced in their totality. Again, this index gives a unique numerical identifier to more than 500 witnesses and lists in numerical order the kinds of documents from which their statements were taken, everything from FBI interview memos to Palm Beach police incident reports to handwritten notes and the like. Going through those methodically, you can see as a layperson or as a reporter what has been produced in the files and what hasn't. And it's our expectation and understanding that there are many other instances in which witnesses, many of whom were alleged victims, don't have all of their statements produced. If these were important enough to give to Ghislaine Maxwell's defense, it's unclear to me what the rationale is for withholding them from the American public, particularly given the text of the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
So this is important because you understand the Epstein files, as we've referred to them and as they've been referred to, they contain all of these things to which that reporter was referring, right? The general interviews with local law enforcement, the FBI interviews, videos, pictures. It's the whole universe of Epstein stuff. So it's all indexed, as she was saying, and these deletions are strategically damning. They involve the President of the United States. And my view is, bring everybody down with this. If it's the president, if it's Biden, Biden's assistant, whatever. I don't care, Democrat, Republican. Clearly, I mean, it wasn't a party-specific endeavor that Epstein was involved in. But the idea somehow that you have released, as is mandated by legislation, all of the files on Epstein, it's clearly not true. And more to the point, what we talked about before even the legislation passed, the fact that they were dry cleaning the Epstein files of references to Donald Trump that were at all damning. There is, it would appear anyway, evidence that this one abuse allegation at minimum has been deleted. The woman who directly named Trump in her abuse allegation claimed that around 1983, when she was around 13, Epstein introduced her to Trump, quote, who subsequently forced, and it's really, I don't want to, it's intense. So it was forced a sex act.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't respond well to it. And then it's alleged here, you know, again, in her testimony or in her allegation, that Trump punched her in the head and kicked her out. That's a quote. So out of more than 3 million pages of files released by the Justice Department in these months that we've been reviewing this stuff, this specific allegation against Trump only appears in copies of the FBI list of claims. But a review of FBI case file logs and discovery documents turned over to Ghislaine Maxwell and her attorneys in the criminal case against her point to one place the claim could have come from and how serious investigators took it. The FBI interviewed this Trump and Epstein accuser 4 times. So this isn't just something that came in on a telephone tip. The first interview, conducted on July 24, 2019, is in the public database. That interview doesn't mention Trump. Of the 15 documents listed in a log of the Maxwell discovery material for the first accuser, only 7 are in the Epstein file database. Those missing include notes that accompany 3 of those interviews. Where is that stuff?
It's all over. It's been all over the internet. I mean, we know it's true. The fact that anyone could be, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just this rolling through my brain, the fact that anyone could be surprised by this when we collectively elected a guy who even told us in the Entertainment Tonight trailer that he didn't need consent to touch people. I mean, this is just, it just shows that goes to character. And this is just something that we all should have known. I don't know how we're surprised. I don't know how.
Well, I mean, you know, it's beyond character, right? It's beyond a lack of character. But this is a breaking story broken by NPR, by the way, and being reported here and elsewhere. And we'll continue to watch it and to touch on it with David Cay Johnston as well. For now, I'll ask you to hit the like button, which is a YouTube thing.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash it, and it costs you nothing. And subscribe to the show, which also costs you nothing, and we'll let you know when we have a new video up if you hit the notification bell. So now,
The Mark Thompson Show.
This guy is a national treasure, great public intellectual. You've seen him across the English-speaking world, commenting on so many things related to government and the law. He's the co-founder of DCReport.org. He is a best-selling author and Pulitzer Prize winner. He's the great David Cay Johnston.
Hello,
sir.
Mark. Good to be with you.
Yeah, the State of the Union, I'll start with it there. I'm sure it's going to be blue skies and sunshine coming from the nation's president. Typically it is that, but he, of course, really blows blue skies and sunshine like nobody else's business. What do you expect? And it is true, David, and then I'll shut up and I'd really like to hear your thoughts, but it is true that it is all happening. The State of the Union is happening tonight against a backdrop of failing poll numbers and a public that's really not happy with things in America.
Well, so the most important thing I think to watch for tonight, assuming the cameras are allowed to point in that direction, will be the faces of the Supreme Court justices if he attacks the court. How do they react, particularly the 3 justices who he thought were in his pocket and voted against him, as they should, as all of them should, on the tariffs issue. Donald is going to tell us so much winning. There's just so much, that hey, how can you bear it? Because he lives in this delusional world, and it's getting worse as his frontal lobe dementia gets worse. So expect him to ramble. He'll go off script. It'll be interesting to see, assuming they, as they always do, provide scripts, if he sticks to it and where he changes it. And of course, it all has to be about the great glory of the great leader. I don't expect to hear any significant new initiatives. I expect to hear a lot of bullying and just a lot of self-aggrandizement. And, the more his numbers sink, then the more he has to pump himself up in the public eye because he's just an empty vessel.
The body that he'll be speaking to, of course, is a stocked pond, right? I mean, every few words becomes an applause break. I mean, it's always that way. But for him, it truly will be that kind of situation that he drinks in.
Yeah, I don't think the Democrats are dumb enough to boo him. That would be a very politically stupid thing to do. But some of them are not attending, and I won't be surprised if at some point, if he says something they've discussed, you see a whole bunch of Democrats get up and walk out, depending on who he tries to insult.
That was talked about as an organized strategy, David. And, how would you come down on that if you were in that meeting where they discussed, you think we should, start in our seats and then walk out at a strategic moment?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a function of reading how the public's going to respond. What the Democrats should be very happy about right now is that Donald's numbers and his influence are shrinking. More and more stuff like what you were just discussing, this remarkable piece of work by NPR about the incredible disappearance of these three other FBI 302 reports. And I'm sure that there's many other documents like that are not there, that are supposed to be there. They're going to hurt him. It's a little pointy-headed, but I'm surprised there hasn't been more public outrage over the fact that DHS has been paying a Russian-connected firm what appears to be about 5 times the value of a warehouse to put human beings in. And of course, given that the building's been sitting there empty for a long time, they're really paying 6 or 7 or 8 times what it's worth. And, come on, Trump came in with Doge. We got to save money. We didn't save any money. We cost money. But now they're spending it like there's no tomorrow. And the supporters of Trump are just out in space. I watched a video, Mark, and first I thought it might not be real AI, but it was a brother and sister talking to their parents about Trump. And they're serious Trumpers, the parents. And they asked them, well, what if Donald Trump told the army to just walk down the street and shoot people? Well, that'd be okay. Well, how can you say that? Well, because he'd have a reason. He wouldn't do it without a reason. Okay, well, what if I'm going out to see a movie and they went, well, you're in Los Angeles, so it would be okay. And it's an extreme case, but we really have people in this country who think that way. I get emails and social media stuff from people all the time about how, you don't know anything about the war in Ukraine. You're an idiot. Russia is going to get what it wants, and you should just accept that. And people have no moral belief in freedom, liberty, or the welfare of anybody beyond their own nose, which is, of course, the core of Trumpism.
Yeah, this occultism that you're referring to, we ran that video actually on the show, and we should probably run it again. It has achieved a sort of virality. It was after Thanksgiving, I think, because it was sort of in relation to that kind of Thanksgiving feast where people are on the verge of food fights as they talk about Trump. But there's so much of ourselves that's associated with the choice that we make politically, I think, David, and on some level, it leads us back to tonight and the State of the Union and Trump and his regime, because there's ego tied to it, right? It's very hard to admit, hey, I was wrong. This guy is not what he said he would. He was. I mean, he talked about on the campaign stump how he was going to end the wars. Instead, he bombs Iran, goes to Venezuela, deposes the president, and now talking about another Iranian incursion, talking about Greenland, smack talking Canada, smack talking Mexico. I mean, it's all pretty much of a kind and very much against what he had represented himself on the stump as.
Right. And at the same time, we now know from testimony before the Senate from a whistleblower who was a lawyer that he was told to instruct ICE agents on the law. And he was told to tell them basically how to run roughshod over the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the First Amendment, the 14th Amendment. And he was told, you cannot take this document with you. You may not even write down notes from it. You've read it. You have to go in now and teach it. And so what that tells us is what we saw in Minnesota was not a rogue agency. This was an agency that's rogue to the Constitution. And Stephen Miller is for sure behind this. And if you're doing things honestly and correctly, you don't tell the people who are training your employees that you have to be in a position to lie and deny about what you're doing.
Yeah, it's deliberate, and I have that video. Do you have it, Tony? Play a little bit of it. This is the attorney and DHS professional who was to train many of those coming in on DHS. Here is a little bit of his testimony. He resigned from DHS. Ryan Schwank is his name, and he resigned because he couldn't countenance the unconstitutional nature of what he had to do. Here it is.
Yeah.
On my first day, I received secretive orders to teach new cadets to violate the Constitution by entering homes without a judicial warrant. For the last 5 months, I watched ICE dismantle the training program, cutting 240 hours of vital classes from a 584-hour program. Classes that teach the Constitution, our legal system, firearms training, the use of force, lawful arrests, proper detention, and the limits of officers' authority. For example, they ceased all of the legal instructions regarding use of force. This means that cadets are not taught what it means to be objectively reasonable, the very standard which the law requires them to meet when deciding whether or not to use deadly force. Our jobs as instructors are to teach them so well that they can make split-second decisions about what they can and cannot do in life or death situations. Yet, in the name of churning out an endless stream of officers, DHS leadership has dismantled the academic and practical tests that we need to know if cadets can safely and lawfully perform their job.
This is good. Thank you. I just wanted to give you a little flavor for it, but it's what you're talking about, David. That's the
very, yes.
Yeah.
I thought he was a very effective and clear witness. I won't be shocked if he gets turned in for disbarment on the grounds that, well, he did teach these things that are against the Constitution, just to make trouble for him. Because remember, the effort to prosecute Letitia James, the effort to prosecute James Comey and others, it isn't about winning. It's about making them spend a lot of money and making their life difficult. How dare you question dear leader, which is the whole Pam Bondi thing. All you have to do is watch. And so tonight at the State of the Union, which, their presidents didn't used to come to Congress and do this. This is a modern invention. It's a little over 100 years old. The constitutional requirement is to send a report to Congress. And now it's this big event and preening for the cameras and all of that. But in Donald's case tonight, yes, it's going to be, we're in the beginning of this golden age, and the reason that the poll numbers are showing what they are is that they're made up, and there's foreign influence, and they're lying. And never mind, at the same time that you've got, all the commodity prices I mentioned a week ago down 30, 40, 50% with no market. They have valued now human life for the purposes of pollution at zero, which you and I are old enough, we're not likely to be affected by that. But children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, which I have all of, yeah, they're the ones who will pay the price for this, even if we start to correct these things. And so it'll be interesting to see how Donald tries to turn something that doesn't even qualify as a sow's ear into a silk purse.
Yeah, so well said. Meantime, Donald Trump's concierge judge in
That's a great line, Mark. A concierge.
what he wants, right?
Yeah.
She has now permanently barred the Justice Department from releasing Jack Smith's final report describing Trump's stockpiling of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, and then, of course, the real intense and well-documented allegations that he obstructed government efforts to reclaim those documents, right? And she wrote, it was a brazen stratagem that Smith had, compiling the detailed report even after she ruled in July 2024 that his appointment as special counsel was unconstitutional and dismissed the case. Of course, she says, basically in parking this, David, which is just wild. I mean, to me, it was always the best case for the people to understand.
That was the easiest and best case, and Jack Smith's office made a mistake. They decided to file the case in Florida because that's where the documents were. The act of theft took place in Washington, D.C., however. They believed that if they filed in D.C., Trump would tie the case up forever, arguing it was the wrong venue, and they had a 1 in 3 chance of getting Eileen Cannon, and they got Eileen Cannon. Now, I don't know who has standing to appeal her order. Clearly, the Justice Department is not going to do that. She will assert that nobody has standing to do this, which would imbue her with enormous power. But assuming one can come up with a legal strategy that will give you standing, and news organizations may be able to argue they have standing, Smith may be able to argue he has standing, because we've always released the reports of these independent counsels, special prosecutors, people like that, and they're after the fact by the time they get released. I mean, we got Ken Starr with all of the putrid, pornographic, and utterly gratuitous details about what, in retrospect, I still think is mostly a nothing about a private matter between Bill and Hillary Clinton. So this is concierge judge. That's just, I wish I'd thought up that phrase. That's a great phrase, Mark. And I would expect that Eileen Cannon, if the Democrats get control of Congress, even if they don't have the votes to impeach her, to convict her, they're probably going to impeach her. I've read a number of her decisions, and, I've had third-year law students who wrote better papers.
Yeah, she's not supposed to be like a legal heavyweight. I mean, based on anything that I've heard. Can David hear me or no? No, you cannot hear me. For that happens, it's weird, Tony. Should David leave and come back? We can finish.
Can't hear you. Think we got to go to Kim.
David, Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
No,
Not at all.
He doesn't. How about Kim? Kim, can you speak to
Hi.
David?
Can you hear me?
There we go. Now you're back, Mark. I hear you.
Ask David to leave and come back, or maybe
now he can hear you too. I think.
I can hear you now.
Okay, very good. What I was going to say is she's not.
I went away again.
I've gone away again. That's odd. What is that?
I'll
what is
redial
that tone?
him.
Any better? What?
Yeah.
No, you don't hear me. How is that possible?
That's so weird that it happens.
So
He'll be right
weird.
back. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's odd. Yeah. Eileen Cannon is no legal heavyweight, is what I was saying. I mean, based on everything that I've read from so many different legal analysts.
What's so secret about Jack Smith's report on the documents case that we shouldn't be allowed to see it? What's so bad about it? What's so wrong in there, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And I have made the point repeatedly because I think it's really an important point to be made. I made the point. Can you hear me now, David? No?
I hear you clear as a bell.
Okay, great. I was just saying she's no legal heavyweight based on everything I've read. She is
there
no
it goes
legal.
again.
Now, is it every time that he comes closer, Tony? What is that? Every time?
Try now.
Is it any different when we take a quad box? We take a triple box? You still don't hear me?
I'm just gonna hang out.
Yeah.
So that he can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, David Cay Johnston?
Weird audio
David?
issues.
Now he can't hear
Can you lock
anybody.
David or no?
Can you hear anybody, David? Do you hear that? Can ask again. Maybe, yeah.
This is so weird.
Have him log out one more time and come back.
Yeah. Last time.
I'm not done with my David Cay Johnston yet.
1, 2, 3. Nope.
Yeah. Last
I
time.
hear you.
Please.
You don't hear us. That's weird.
I'm sending them a message. Too bad.
YouTube is doing creepy things today.
It's messed up. I don't know. That's so weird. It seems to, he loses it when he seems to go to when we go to the double box, Tony. Is that what you noticed?
That shouldn't change anything.
Of course not.
It's literally just a view, not a.
I just don't understand it. Yeah. Does he see it? Does he hear? Do you hear us now?
Now he's muted. You're muted,
You're
David Cay
muted, pal.
Johnston.
You're muted. Yeah. Try unmuting, sir. There
Okay.
you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Do you hear us?
I can't tell if you can hear me.
Oh no! So he cannot hear us.
Yes,
What is
yes,
going
yes,
on?
yes. We can hear you.
I
Yes.
hear you. Yeah, we hear you.
But can you hear us?
I can hear you, Kim.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Kim, ask David.
Ask away.
Ask David. I want to get their FedEx is suing the Trump administration for tariff refunds after the Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah,
And,
FedEx is suing Trump because of they want their tariff refunds back. You want to comment on that?
Talk to us about the tariff refunds, please.
Before the U.S. Supreme Court, in the case that was argued by Neil Katyal, and in other forums, the Trump administration kept saying, well, of course, if we lose, we'll refund the money. And they're not. And why? Because they're thieves. This is a den of thieves. You know, Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, when they got all this money at Cantor Fitzgerald that he only because of 9/11 ended up being the head of, did he distribute that money all to the widows and orphans of employees? No, he took a lot of it for himself because it's just who they are. And Basant is going, well, you know, it'd be very complicated. And sadly, Kim, we had two Supreme Court justices, Amy Coney Barrett in the oral argument last fall, and Kavanaugh in his opinion, saying, well, it'd be really complicated to give the money back. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You pay a tariff, you have a record. Most companies like FedEx applied for the refund.
Right.
And it turns out that a bunch of companies absorbed the tariff because they clearly believed, and their lawyers told them, this won't stand, you'll get your money back. So their earnings were depressed somewhat, especially companies that had to pay large amounts of tariff money. If they get the refunds, there'll be a surge in profits for one quarter. But Trump made it clear you're going to have to sue to get it back because that's how he's run his whole life. You know, not paying workers, not paying vendors, not paying governments. You know, because it's mine. What do you mean you did work for me? You expect to be paid? What's wrong with you? I mean, it's the same thing he has supposedly said to the girl he raped. You know, well, you should be glad it's Donald Trump taking your virginity, not some incompetent 14-year-old boy. You should be glad Donald Trump is taking your money. You should be grateful to him.
Super gross. I heard that Basant said that that they're waiting for instructions from lower courts before they'll return any of the tariff money.
Well, technically, the Supreme Court sent this matter back to a lower court. That's very common to have happen. The lower court presumably should issue an order saying, you know, matters are dismissed and the objectors are entitled to refunds forthwith. And you know what'll happen. They're going to appeal. And they'll say, well, we don't have all the records. It's too complicated. The government doesn't have the resources to pursue. I mean, whatever argument they come up with, it's not going to be to give back the money. And here's where you would think all the anti-tax Republicans would turn on Trump. They're always saying that, you know, the government's taking money of yours. It's too much. We need to reduce your taxes. And here you have a clear-cut Supreme Court decision. And anti-tax Republicans should be in the forefront of this. The one outfit that's been quite straight up and principled about this is the Cato Institute, funded by the Koch brothers. But of all the right-wing Madison Avenue ideological marketing firms in Washington, there are 12 big ones. The only one that has been consistent in hewing to its principles has been Cato, to its libertarian point of view. You can like or dislike their point of view, but they stick to their knitting and they uphold the principles they say they support. Unlike the others, I mean, you get to the Competitive Enterprise Institute and they'll shill for anybody.
Just a quick follow-up. Ask David about the fact that
Iran.
More and more people, I was going to get to Iran, but more and more people are talking about the only way consumers can recover is with a class action.
Yeah, Mark is talking about the only way consumers are going to be able to recover from these tariffs is with a class action lawsuit.
Yes, and I don't think that'll get anywhere. I mean, if you had to pay higher prices, I did. I bought 2 pair of shoes that I like that I needed to replace from China, and I paid essentially double for them. And, I'm out the money and I'm not going to get it back. That would be very difficult to do. And so there will be businesses who use an intermediary. Unless you're a really huge business, you don't directly pay the tariff. So the importing company pays the tariff, and then they turn the goods over with an invoice saying, yeah, well, you owe us for the tariff. Some of those businesses will get reimbursed and some won't. And this just is, it's another Full Employment Act for lawyers. And it's another example of how bad government messes up the economy.
I think the economy will be something that will be front and center at the State of the Union. And
but you're just going to hear about how great it is.
Yeah, you're going to hear about how great it is. But I was reading that one of the Democrats' strategies in the upcoming midterm elections is going to be an affordability agenda. They're going to hammer away at affordability because the world life has not become more affordable since Trump has swept into power. So, I think that we're not done with the price of eggs.
Oh, no, I think affordability is going to continue to be an issue for a number of reasons. Right now, I noticed when I was driving back from teaching at the university that gas prices had come down about a dime at the big gas station I pass. Gas prices will come down for a while, but natural gas prices are way up because we're importing all this liquefied natural gas to Europe. Now, oil prices go up and down. They always have. It's the volatile nature of the business supply and demand. The big oil companies like Exxon and Chevron and BP are set up for it doesn't matter what the price is, they will make money. If they can't make it at the production wellhead level, they'll make it in the midstream, refining, retail, they'll find a place to make a profit. But electricity prices right now in many parts of the country are essentially double what they were a year ago. Part of that's because so much electricity comes from burning natural gas. Enormous amount of it. Coal is no longer the big overwhelming factor. And the natural gas exports are driving up that price. Trump wanted to do something for the country. He could say, especially given how angry he is at Europe, well, we're going to cut in half your purchases of our LNG. You haven't seen him do anything like that. That would require a 2-step thinking process. That's too much. Second, the AI business with these enormous servers where you say, Siri, and ask a long question, and it breaks it down into every single word, simultaneously searches all of them at the same time. The computing power needed for that is tremendous, and it requires a lot more electricity. And yet, those companies are paying rock bottom prices for their power. You and I are not. They are. They have rates that are designed to encourage business. Basically, residences pay the highest rate. Commercial places like stores, shopping malls, local gas stations, they pay a slightly lower rate. And then industry pays very low rates. And the aluminum business or other huge users of electricity, they get super low rates and various deals to benefit them. Well, one of the things Trump could do is to step in and say, well, we're going to have the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission issue an emergency order, and you're not going to continue to drive up the prices for ordinary consumers. That would actually give him a political benefit that the Democrats wouldn't have a lot to counter with. But he's not doing anything like that because he doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anyone but himself.
The last thing I just wanted to double back, Kim, ask David if he's okay, double back in, just commenting on what's happening and the repercussions in England continue to be seen around Epstein. Yeah, go ahead.
Mark is bringing up Epstein, and we know that we've seen the arrest of Prince Andrew. We talked about that last week, and now Peter Mandelson, who's the former U.S. ambassador from the U.K., is arrested as well. And it seems like there are repercussions in the UK, but not necessarily in the United States. We've seen a couple people step down from law firms. There's one CBS medical specialist. I think his last name is Atiyah. He's stepped down, but we haven't really seen legal repercussions in the United States. Can you speak to whether the legal ramifications from the UK will finally seep into the United States?
Well, let me start by pointing out that the Orlando Sentinel, one of the many newspapers I take online, had a story last night or this morning about the arrest of someone who's a pedophile. And was the federal Justice Department bringing the case. So it's not like the Justice Department isn't going after pedophiles. Mm-hmm. They're just not going after the big pedophiles,
right?
And the patrons pedophiles. The UK case, which is going to be in a quiet stage for a while because of the way British law on disclosures works, I suspect is going to come back to be a real nightmare for Donald for two reasons. Prince Andrew and former Ambassador Mandelson are going to seek documents from the Trump files, maybe from the Trump estate, to bolster their defenses. And there's going to be a fight over the receipt of those documents, or there's going to be release of them, which will provide further evidence of what NPR showed this morning, that they're not complying with the law and they're hiding Donald's name to protect him. They're running a protection racket for him in the Epstein files case. Then you have the Norwegian case where the former prime minister has been charged with gross corruption. Now, Norway is a country where I have a lot of friends in Norwegian journalism, and I kid them a little bit about, what's the new big investigation of corruption in Norway? Somebody stole money from parking meters. It's a very, very honest, much more advanced society on many levels than we are. But the Norwegian government is taking this seriously. There are several other governments that are looking at things that are coming out of the Epstein files that we've only got little links to, little suggestions, nothing dramatic. And yes, these overseas investigations, first of all, should put the shame to what our own government is doing. But they're also fueling the already substantial international hatred of Donald Trump. Trump keeps saying, I've restored America, da, da, da. No, you have not, sir. Absolutely have not. And every day I do overseas television, and the whole tone of the questions has really taken a serious, serious turn. The essence of which is sort of just being fed up with this clown, idiot, crook, pedophile, pick your adjective. So yes, this is going to continue to be a problem, but so long as Pam Bondi is willing to sit there and sneer, talk about the Dow being at $50,000 because she doesn't know it's an index, they will continue to try to run their cover up. The brilliance of that NPR story is being able to show from what's in the record that they're manipulating the record. It's one thing if they said, oh, we found this one FBI report, but being able to show there are actually 4 reports and they hid 3 of them, that's the part that's damning, because it shows this was not inadvertent, this wasn't sloppy, this was intentional. And at some point, hopefully, we will get some people at Justice who will say, I've had enough, and they're going to be like Mr. Schwank testifying about ICE training. They're going to blow the whistle.
Whistleblowers, yeah. We've got to wrap up.
Does that information get to the right people? Because we've seen over and over again, and Mark is saying we have to wrap it up, but we've seen over and over again that stories that we knew, half the country isn't paying attention to it. It's almost like we're living in 2 different worlds and we're getting 2 different, pieces of information.
Yeah, it was just like this in Watergate until finally the dam broke. Before the election in '72. The San Jose Mercury, where I was a reporter back then, was one of the few papers that ran the LA Times and New York Times and Washington Post, because they subscribed to all those services, stories. They ran them inside, but they often ran them in full. And yet lots of people were sort of like, yeah, there's something going on. Well, I don't know what Watergate is. Yeah. George Washington complained that the troops were apathetic when they were fighting against the British. It's the nature that most people are not engaged in this stuff. It's keeping the pressure on. It's keeping the kettle boiling and finding new ways to bring out things that you and I and Mark and this audience knows, but many people don't. And so don't get cynical. Don't lose heart. don't say, oh, we're never going to get there. Yes, we are, but it requires being resolute, consistent. You don't need to insult people, cajole people. Don't insult people. And I'll confess, sometimes I get, in the face of somebody instead of cajoling them. I'm human like everybody else in that regard. But you want to bit by bit chip away at MAGA. And MAGA's problems are going to be Iran, affordability, the Epstein files. Those are I think, where he's vulnerable. And the degree to which those fissures turn into cracks is really important. And when you look at the most recent election we had last week, where a district that had been, I think, 17 points in Donald's favor went blue, they know they're in trouble. They know that. And that's why they're doing many of the things that they're doing to hang on to power. Because remember, Donald Trump is in my knowing him in almost 40 years, he's admitted to one mistake. I never should have left the White House. And that should be the central thing we keep looking at, that January 20th of 2029, he is obligated no matter what to leave the White House, and he won't go if there's any way he can find, including turning the American military and the American people. And in that regard, by the way, keep in mind what the Communist Chinese had to do at the Tiananmen Square. They tried to send Beijing federal district troops to suppress the uprising, and they couldn't get them to shoot their neighbors. So they brought in troops from the north of China a few days later, and that's when they were able to have the massacre. And this will be a real test if Trump tries to do that. And I think there's a distinct possibility that he will, because he does not want to give up power.
Yeah, here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
sorry
you,
we had
David.
the tech troubles.
Thank you for hanging in with
But
our
good
tech
stuff.
trouble. Yeah, really good. Thank you so much. We adore
Go
you.
Knights.
We'll see you next week. Go Knights. Absolutely. Go SoCal. Bye, David Cay Johnston. Thanks for being here.
Bye-bye, David.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Weird. It was a truly weird one.
We went to the same high school.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. It's a very, it's an elite high school for people who
Kim, how are you?
Yeah.
Just a little high school in Santa Cruz County,
I felt like
Me
we
and
lost
David
you
Cay
for a while
Johnston.
there, Tony, also. I don't know what happened to Tony. He kind of froze up. And
Sorry, I was
wasn't
trying
around.
to read up on trying to fix the problem. I was
Oh, that's
researching
so
on,
cool.
on
Tony is
trying.
really on top.
Thanks, Tony.
He's on
He's
top of it.
it might be an echo canceling problem. He might just need to have headphones on. That might fix the problem. It seems like.
Maybe it's the
Cindy,
world's saying, like, Kim should take over the show. I mean, maybe that's
Yeah, that was pretty
the
cool, actually.
And now, your comments.
Thank you all, including Professor Johnston. Cindy, big shout out to you.
Big shout out.
In New York City. She comes out from under the 1.5 foot of snow they've gotten. What are the snowfall totals are really upstate? I saw 2 feet.
2 feet is what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. Cindy, love it. Cindy G in NYC. Right on. Calgon, take me away, says Richard Delamere.
Big shout out.
Does anybody remember those spots? Calgon, take me away.
I do.
Yeah, that was like a whole campaign. Kim Possible is back. That's right, says Chaplain Fred.
Big
She was.
shout
Thank
out.
goodness Kim was there. Kim and Mark, Glenn B says, Trump wants to build a 91-story building in Queensland, Australia. We're all trying to block its approval. The Glenn B is in our Australian office. He's the Australian outpost reporter for the Mark Thompson Show. And he is reporting that he wants a 91-story building, does Trump, in Queensland. Wow. I hadn't heard about that. But I don't think he's got great relations in Australia, but I'm guessing that it'll be money changing hands one way or the other, and that's how these deals get done, particularly in the case of Donald Trump. The secret ICE memo training them to break the law, says Free Dreamer. Yeah, we had a story on that. In fact, I played you a bit of the whistleblower who resigned because of the training being so perverse and unconstitutional. The demands of ICE, as you know, are in very much keeping with the demands of Stephen Miller. There is a quota, and then there's even an incentive to reward people being brought in even if we've reported on this before and we've shown the documentation, even if the person is released later that day, just by bringing them in, you get the incentivized rewards associated with the head count. So that's the way ICE, in some way, is having their mission perverted and incentivized to bring in more people regardless of their immigration status. I look for Trump to claim evidence of voter fraud in the 2020 election was found in conjunction with the search warrant, says Eric Smith. By the way, that should be on your bingo card too. Will he relate to anything to the 2020 election steal that he's going to claim? Or is that just a riff that he'll do? But even if it's a riff, you get credit if that's your bet for the reference. No matter what, the State of the Union is going to be a disaster, says Mobius. Yeah. I mean, the State of the Union is one of the most curated environments that you could possibly imagine a president facing. You walk into a Congress that greets you as the hailing hero, regardless of the state of things. You stand up at the lectern in front of people who are poised and loaded to stand up and applaud you, scream with a kind of adulation that one could only find at a high school theater production. These guys are such kiss asses. The sycophancy of this group of people, the GOP, that has put themselves completely in the control of this guy, even as he does things that are antithetical to GOP precepts. I'm talking about blowing the budget up. The way the deficit is insane. The stealing of American funds, it's theft. $10 billion to the Board of Peace? What? That is an appropriation of your money, taxpayer money, that needs to go through Congress. You can't just create the Board of Peace, this ridiculous collection of countries, many of them, most of them run by some kind of authoritarian, despotic leadership, and they contribute $1 billion, we contribute $10 billion, and I say we because it is you and me. Without congressional approval, where is Congress on this stuff? This guy is spending money like a drunken sailor on shore leave. And there's no one in Congress stepping up from his own party. So that's the crew that's going to be there tonight to cheer him on. Oh, yes, yeah, right on. Things have never been better. Those dirty immigrants, put them in those huge detention centers you're building. Right on. If the Trump administration was telling the truth that the tariffs were paid by foreign governments, why would they be so worried about U.S. citizens and corporations seeking a refund? Thank you, Agolf. Well, they know the truth of it. And it's more than just the money. Trade relationships have been destroyed, maybe forever. I told you about what's happening to the farmers. These soybean farmers, they've had their trade relationship with China completely destroyed. China has developed pipeline alternatives, right? The pipeline of trade goes now to Brazil and Argentina. And Argentina got $40 million from us, $40 billion from us, excuse me. Once again, another appropriation that just happened to support Wall Street investors who were betting on the economy of Argentina. And in so doing, price supports were offered to soybean farmers in Argentina so that soybean farmers in Argentina could undercut the American price of soybeans to their new Chinese consumers. That, look it up. That's exactly what happened. And so you end up, after all of that, with American farmers getting totally screwed. They lose their Chinese trading partner, consumer. That consumer pipeline is destroyed forever because now China, where we were on adversarial footing at the beginning of the first 6 months of the Trump administration as he talked smack to China, put his tariffs in place, that adversarial footing led China to develop these other pipelines of supply, Brazil, Argentina. And as I say, and Argentina, with American money, was able to undercut the farmers. Now, the farmers have gotten checks to help them with the loss that they've endured this year. But that doesn't help them going forward. They want to farm. They want to have a business. They don't want to get handouts from the U.S. government. Not to mention these handouts aren't sufficient. So the tariff situation is one big mess. He has this crazy obsession with it, and it really is crazy because it only hurts the American consumers and the American producers.
How do you respond to this comment? Because we were just talking about farmers. Ron writes, who cares about American farmers anymore? They voted for what they're now going through.
Yeah, I have to say that there's a lot of that. I mentioned to you, I was talking to someone the other day, right after, I said the other day, it was right after some Trump, declaration of some kind of policy. And he was saying, I don't feel for those people anymore. He's a wealthy television producer, and he always votes for these candidates who talk about helping various communities that need the help and social programs, that kind of thing. He says, I don't feel bad for them anymore because they voted for this guy. And so I have two things to say about that. One is, it's not just those communities that are affected. So even if you don't feel bad for them, it's not just them. Look at what just happened with the EPA ruling, how they essentially undercut all the ways in which toxins in the environment can be regulated. Soil, water, air can be toxified. And that soil, water, and air isn't just going to those communities that voted for Trump. It's going to all of us. We're all carrying the load that comes with this craziness and evil that is allowing these corporations, corporate polluters, to toxify the environment. The same cancers that they get, we're going to get. So I'm just using the environment as an example. But when the regulatory structures come off of everything, in other words, everything else that they're doing, the corruption that leaches into the American government this way is something that we'll all have to endure. And for that reason, I'd say, yeah, I get it. That farmer who's having to bite it now, he voted for Trump or she voted for Trump, and you don't have much sympathy for them. But it's not just limited to them. We're all going to have to bite it, and that sucks. So thank you for your show. Adore you all. Maria Clayton, is that a $50 super chat? Wow. I'm going to give you the 4 thank yous, Maria.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is it. It's one more time. It's a
Thank you.
That's the 4 thank yous, and we rarely invoke it.
Really nice.
But thank you for that contribution. That was really nice, Maria. Really, really cool. We are a crowd-funded show, so we make a big deal out of the part of the crowd that funds us. There's an alternative State of the Union on the Midas Touch Network on YouTube. Oh, that's interesting, says Heather.
They'll tell you the real State of the Union, right?
They're really good over there. The Anthony Davis comes through occasionally, and it is true that there are a lot of, I think, alternative State of the Unions going. I think the Daily Show does one. I'm sure Midas Touch does one. I think there are a bunch of them. But I can understand how the State of the Union would be a tough thing to stomach, particularly if you're in our audience, which tends not to approve of the way things are going. To be polite about it,
I think you did a great State of the Union earlier. Honestly.
Oh. Well, thank you. I don't even know what you're talking about, but I love compliments. So I will, yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Yes.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Apparently. I wanted to recognize, can I do this? I wanted to recognize some people who wrote into us and left us a contribution by check. They didn't want to go on and they're really cool. Let me try to see if I can organize this. So they didn't, PayPal and Patreon is where we're typically getting supporters, and that helps us every month with meeting our budget needs. But there are people who actually wrote in and sent us checks. So let me get to
The Mark Thompson Show.
One is Brian. Let me find his note.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Happy New Year. This is how long ago this was. I'm so sorry. I collect these things and I want to. Your program is great and you do a fantastic job. Thank you.
That's nice.
You're a major part of my day. Gary Dietrich, the two Davids, Michael Shore, Mo Kelly, so knowledgeable, and I look forward to them conversing with you. Don't give up the battle. Brian McCarthy. Thanks, you.
Brian.
Yeah, sent us $100, which is a big chunk. That really helps us. I mean,
big shout out.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you so much. Or thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I like to say thank you so much. I got also a really nice, I'm trying to get the notes in also, but I got a nice note and a check from Molly.
Oh, hi, Molly.
Molly Cozzolino. Thank you, Molly, for your generous contribution. She sent a check. She didn't do the Patreon or PayPal, but she sent us $300.
Big shout out.
I know. I can't believe it. Yeah, right on.
What?
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I'm
not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I am going to cry, man.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
Thank you, Molly, and thank you, Sandra. And I would love to also recognize Diane.
Hi,
The
Diane.
women really showing up in big numbers.
The ladies like you, Mark Thompson.
The ladies like Cool J. Brian led us off with the guys, and then it was Molly and Diane. Diane Heilson gave us a check, and I'm so very grateful. It is a transcendent amount of support, and
I'm not gonna cry.
I am truly humbled to the point I wrote a note back and am just so grateful, Diane. Thank you so much. And on behalf of Tony, who doesn't say much on this show, I want to
Thanks, Tony.
And Kim.
Kim, how are you?
Yes, and myself.
Big shout out.
I want to say thank you, and I'd like to give you the 4 thank yous.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you 4 more.
Thank you.
And I'm going to give you 4 more.
Thank you.
So there you go. That's a roundup of a few, and I'll
Check this one out. I don't know what this is. MX, is that pesos?
Oh,
MX.
maybe it is. Mexican $50 and a Mexican.
Big shout out.
I don't know what that is, but
I
it's
don't know
one
either.
Obo
Jusco?
Husco.
Obo Jusco?
Obo Husco.
I don't know.
I want to say muchísimas gracias. And yeah, it's kind of cool, kind of exotic to get anything.
Yeah.
Everything is going okay and settles out there in Mexico. Man, that
Really?
is major trouble. But very, very cool that you would take a moment and get to us. Thank you.
Big shout out.
Shout out for that. All right. That is a little of what's going on in the world of supporters, and I'm so very grateful.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I may recognize you all again at one time or another. I'll also mention this, and this probably slipped to the outfield on many of you. Breaking news from Europe. The director of the Louvre, where there was the huge heist and a number of labor strikes, water leaks, security lapses generally. That leader of the Louvre, Laurence Descartes, resigning. It just happened hours ago, less than 3 months after that theft. Laurence Descartes submitting her resignation to the French President Emmanuel Macron. She's been there since 2021, championed her plans for an ambitious refurbishment of the museum known as the Louvre. A new renaissance is what she wanted. Kim has been writing angry emails about the state of the Louvre for some time. She had hoped that Ms. Descartes would change things at the Louvre.
To no avail.
Instead, things got worse. And her resignation came a day before she was scheduled to testify before the French Parliament about the security lapses. I'll remind you, there was a theft of a collection of jewels valued at more than $100 million. For those who ask, Tony has been totally cleared from any responsibility for that heist.
Thanks, Tony.
He was a suspect for a very short time, but has been cleared. Anybody who sees Tony from time to time on the show knows he loves his jewelry. And it might be that he could be, look at that. That was some of the jewelry that was taken in the Louvre heist. Anyway, she is out. So they are, I mean, you got to own it. It happened on your watch, you know, Kim?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If Tony had been in charge of that heist, they wouldn't have dropped a very fancy crown on the way out.
Probably true.
No.
That is probably true.
They melted that stuff down is what they did. They
Yeah,
had
it's
to.
gone.
Tony thinks that it was pretty much a meltdown type situation. So that is the latest on the situation at the Louvre. There are big changes there. I want to quickly address what's also happening in France, and this is about Jared Kushner.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Jared Kushner is being barred from a meeting with government officials in France. The France Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs barring U.S. Ambassador to France and Monaco. It's not Jared, it's his dad.
Charles, yeah.
Charles Kushner, excuse me. If you really want to ride, read about his dad. His dad is a piece of work who now serves in the administration. French officials saying that Kushner did not show up to the foreign ministry when he was summoned, a breach of diplomatic protocol. As a result, Kushner is now denied meetings with French ministers. And the French are saying, we wanted to underline that he is not going to be granted direct access to ministers and members of the government. He can carry out his duties and present himself at the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But last week, the U.S. Embassy in France expressed concern over the death of Quentin Durand, a 23-year-old French right-wing activist who was allegedly beaten by left-wing militants, died from brain injuries 2 days later. And apparently, inquiries around that became controversial. Kushner is the father of Jared Kushner, took office last July after the Senate voted to confirm him. And this is kind of key. He was pardoned by Donald Trump in December of 2020 on the way out. He had served 2 years in prison. This is part of the magic of looking into who Jared Kushner's dad is. He had served 2 years in prison after having pled guilty to tax evasion, lying to the FEC, Federal Election Commission, and retaliating against a federal witness. If you want to read about what that retaliation involved, it's worth Googling. So I'll leave it at that. Just over a month after taking office as ambassador, Kushner urged French President Emmanuel Macron to address rising anti-Semitism in a letter that he published in the Wall Street Journal. And he also asked Macron to enforce hate crimes without exception. So he's been a controversial figure, and I guess for whatever reason, and they've suggested that he's broken protocol. U.S. Ambassador Kushner is being barred by government officials. Meanwhile, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are advising on Iran. Donald Trump's decision to order airstrikes against Iran might hinge in part on the judgment of Trump's special envoys. Witkoff, who I've mentioned to you before, is a golfing buddy of Donald Trump's. When they put him into the mix in Ukraine-Russia negotiations, I was astounded because he has no real cultural understanding of the history of these nations, which you do need when you're dealing with the likely narratives that are going to be brought forward in the Ukraine-Russia war, which, as Kim has noted, goes into its fifth year now?
I think 4 years.
But it's been 4 years, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been 4 years, and I thought
it's going into its fifth year now.
Yeah, and I thought Trump was supposed to be able to pick up the phone and end it day one.
That was the promise. But now Witkoff, who, as I mentioned, is handling those negotiations, and Jared Kushner, who, again, is not an actual government employee. He is just there in everything. They are very much involved in the Iran back and forth. And so when assessing whether or not Iran is stalling on relinquishing their capacity to produce nuclear weapons, for example, Donald Trump is going to take the word of Witkoff and Kushner, according to reliable reporting. So this is, as I was mentioning in hour one, a really sticky situation. You had that general talking about the fact that he's recommending against some kind of military action in Iran. But you have Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who are apparently the point people on it. He hasn't made a final determination, Trump, on any strikes. But they do have a lot of hardware in the area. So, again, there are major advisors to the president in the form of Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, these kinds of people. But the people who are actually dealing with the Iranians, Witkoff and Jared Kushner. So there is the general. Thank you for finding that. The general who is recommending against the action in Iran is General Dan Kane. He is chairman of the Joint Chiefs. And he's just cautioning that there aren't the munitions and support from allies that you would generally want in an action like this, and that puts U.S. troops in greater danger. Donald Trump liked Dan Kane because he can call him Raisin Kane. He likes, Sarah Kendzior was talking about this the other day, kind of likes to cast people who can be nicknamed. Anyway, he's chairman of the Joint Chiefs and expressing these concerns at a White House meeting last week with top aides and with Donald Trump. He says any major operation against Iran is going to face challenges because the U.S. munitions stockpile has been significantly depleted by ongoing defense of Israel, support for Ukraine. And this is new reporting about that meeting. In Pentagon meetings this month, separately, Dan Kane also raised concerns about the scale of any Iran campaign. Talks about how complex it is. This is what we talked about on the show. The possibility of U.S. casualties, something else we've talked about on this show. I mean, again, this isn't Venezuela. The general has said that any operation would be made all the more difficult by a lack of allied support. And in a statement, Dan Kane's office said that his role as the president's top military advisor provides a range of military options as well as secondary considerations and associated impacts and risks. So, again, he provides this information confidentially, is what the office says. So, just seems like with all of that hardware there, some kind of action is imminent, but we'll see. U.S. naval assets in the Middle East, Tony's got it up for you now. You've got major carriers there. And I just think you don't need, in this case, to be a major military strategist to know with all of those naval assets in place, it feels as though something's going to happen. Now, as we were mentioning in hour one, the punchback can be really intense because there are a lot of American air bases there and American military bases there. So it's not as though, I get it, Iran can't reach the U.S., but Iran can reach a lot of U.S. assets in the region. This could be a big mess for Trump. He's really got to watch his step.
I was reading earlier in the Telegraph that Iran is set to purchase missiles that are used to fire at aircraft carriers from China. So both sides seem to be ramping up in preparation of a huge conflict.
Yeah, I think that there is a sense on both sides that this is an eventual happening of one sort or another. So the one thing you'll note is don't question this crew. Don't question this administration. I'm reminded of the exchange between Caroline Leavitt when asked about, wasn't it Jared Kushner and all of his holdings and the president and his son's holdings when it comes to so many different assets that are affected by U.S. policy in different regions in the world? Here's what she said.
States. And second thing, how did the White House decide that it is appropriate for Jared Kushner to be working on matters that involve Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, 3 countries that combined have given him more than $2.5 billion for his investment firm?
I think it's frankly despicable that you're trying to suggest that it's inappropriate for Jared Kushner, who is widely respected around the world and has great trust in relationships with these critical partners in these countries, to strike a 20-point comprehensive detailed peace plan that no other administration would ever be able to achieve. And so Jared is donating his energy and his time to our government, to the President of the United States, to secure world peace, and that is a very noble thing. And this is a peace plan that has not just been accepted by Israel, but it has been applauded by Muslim and Arab countries around the world. It has been applauded by European leaders around the world. Virtually everyone in the world is supportive of this plan that Jared Kushner offered his time to help put together alongside our special envoy Witkoff, the Vice President, the President of the United States, Secretary Rubio, and the President's entire national security team. We are very proud of that plan, and we hope Hamas will accept it because it will lead to a more peaceful and prosperous Middle East.
Good day, sir.
Okay.
I love it when you're angry.
Yeah. Man, she spins it hard, man. She spins it hard, doesn't she? But, I mean, again, just 2 things. First, he may be all those things, respected by this or whatever. I get it. He couldn't pass a background check. Okay, I'll just remind you of that. In Trump season 1, he couldn't pass a background check. All right. He, the Trump kids, nobody could pass a background check. Ivanka, is that her name? The daughter? And the president had to come in and Bigfoot it and get them through. I'll just remind you of that. And he is way more compromised in terms of relationships now than he was in season 1. I guess Trump has Rem and Stimpy doing Iran. Thank you, Chaplain Fred. Yeah. Pretty well.
Big shout out.
Thank you for the super chat. All right, I wanted to quickly mention one thing.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Our partners at Zellman's Minty Mouth, they are very happy. Many of you have found the magic. I know, we always have it on board now. Zellman's Minty Mouth, I got a little... They're little canisters. They're like, you can hold on to them, put them in your pocket. Yeah, Kim's holding one up right now. You can barely see it. Zellmans.com, Zelmins.com. And here's the deal. Before they came on board, we road tested them for a month. Sent them to Kim. Courtney had them. I had them. We really did want to see if they would help fight bad breath, and they do. And to the point that I take 3, I'll take pop 3. You get they say take 2, take 3. But anyway, the point is you pop them in. It totally freshens your taste with that sense of how your breath tastes. It does that with its what is that again? You always have spearmint, or is it?
This is the spearmint. There's also a peppermint.
I know. I like the spearmint. I think I like them both, but I don't really keep track of.
Peppermint's a little more hot. The spearmint's a little more
hot.
sweet.
So the spearmint or peppermint, you anyway, you can grab in different numbers, 3 packs, 5 packs, whatever. But here's how it really works. So you get that quick burst, and then that comes off, right? Because it's just a coating. And these tiny capsules, you swallow them. And that's when the real action starts. Parsley seed oil interacts with the things in your stomach, and it knocks out the causes of bad breath. It's amazing. So it fights the odors that can cause bad breath, and it does it with this inner capsule parsley seed oil. No artificial sweeteners, no xylitol, no preservatives, just stuff that works. Zellmans, Zelmins, Zellmans.com. Use the code Mark T. You'll get 15% off at checkout. Mark T at checkout, 15% off. Zellmans.com.
The Mark Thompson Show.
The science is ridiculous.
How dare you say that, Scott? I play that drop just for you, Scott. Yeah.
I didn't get to do my news today, and I didn't get to talk about Coachella Valley coffee, but I just wanted to tell you that I did take my favorite tea to Disneyland.
Wow, look at that. The vanilla tea at Disneyland.
Yeah. And it was good. It was so good. Much better than the tea in Disneyland.
Wow. Well, that's really cool.
Ready to go. Still my very, very favorite.
The vanilla tea. That's Kim's fave at Coachella Valley Coffee. Well, check out their tea. They've got a lot of different tea. They've got loose leaf. They also have the bag tea. It's a really well-developed site in terms of the alternatives to coffee. You're absolutely right to mention it. It's got to be pretty good if she brought it with her. I mean, Kim brought vanilla tea with her.
I must have it with me. My daughter loves the English breakfast tea. The mango tea is really good as well. If you're looking for all kinds of tea, please check out CoachellaValleyCoffee.com.
There's never been anything like this.
Of course, coffee, but they also have the most amazing teas. So please check it out.
They are good.
Yeah, and use our code. It's Mark T, and that'll get you 10% off of whatever you purchase. They're all loose leaf teas, I believe.
Oh, are they?
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah, it's all loose leaf. So they don't have I thought they had the bags too.
They have the bags. You have to buy the bags.
Okay.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
Yeah,
you get 100 bags, and they're really good ones. So check it out.
I love it.
Nobody has ever put something like this together that I've ever seen.
All right. I'm very excited.
We've never seen anything like it before.
Okay. I'm getting it. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Use our discount code Mark T.
I've never seen anything like it.
Okay. Mark T at a checkout for 10% off. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Are all our partners happy? We've done everything.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah. I think unless you have comments.
And now, your comments.
Really, guys, we've got to wrap up around here. I've got another interview to do here in just a minute. It's a really interesting book, too. I want to share it with you in the days ahead. My faves were Circus Animal Cookie and Red Velvet. Oh, knowing Marie Clarity talking about the Sweet 106 Bakery people. Oh, my God. Yeah, I love their stuff. I gave my BFF the Red Velvet, and I'm giving my sister the vanilla for her birthday.
Oh,
Ms.
happy
Organic.
birthday to your sister. Awesome.
Yeah, happy birthday to your sister. Circus Animal Cookie. Oh, my God, that looks amazing. Jeez. It is that's sweet106bakery.com. Use our discount code there. You got 15% off of those offerings. Really special. It's a, good stuff.
Morning.
Exactly. Hit the thumbs up button and then subscribe to this show. Ricky O'Bear says, I'd love to hang out, but we have a green room filled with some really special people. I've got to get those conversations going so we can share them with you in the days ahead. Just waiting for the Trump snow job, says Gary Jones. Yeah, it's going to be quite the State of the Union. Look for a lot of applause breaks. That's a good over-under. How many applause breaks? But Hegseth is a bumbling fool, says Ole Hansen. This will end in a mess. Yeah, well, I can't argue with that. Big story out of this Epstein file deletion. I think that's something to watch for in the days ahead. Tomorrow, John Rothman comes through. Do you have any special guests also? I don't have the schedule in front of me.
John Rothman is coming
and
through.
I've got a media expert coming through tomorrow also. So
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
Yeah, changing media messages. It's really a good conversation.
Bye-bye.
I'll get to that tomorrow as well. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Until tomorrow, bye-bye.